You're listening to Underground USA News.
Friday, August 29, 2025. President Donald Trump has declared he will not deploy the National Guard to address Chicago's spiraling crime rates, including its 2024 status as the nation's homicide capital with 573 murders, until Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker formally requests federal assistance. Speaking from the Oval Office on August 25, 2025, Trump emphasized that while he believes federal intervention could swiftly curb Chicago's violence, he respects state authority and will wait for Pritzker's invitation, despite the governor's public rejection of such aid, claiming it's politically motivated. This stance comes amid Trump's broader push to restore law and order, as seen in Washington, D.C., where National Guard deployment has reportedly reduced crime, highlighting a contrast with Pritzker's resistance, which critics argue prioritizes politics over public safety. As Americans prepare for Labor Day weekend, gas prices have hit a 5-year low at $3.15 per gallon, down from $3.29 in 2024 and $3.77 in 2022, offering significant relief for families planning road trips. Analysts attribute this decline to President Trump's energy policies, which have boosted domestic production and reversed restrictive regulations, leading to a more affordable summer driving season. However, experts, who have so far been incorrect in their predictions, warn that hurricane season, trade uncertainties, and geopolitical tensions, such as Russia's war in Ukraine, could exert upward pressure on prices in the coming months. This drop in fuel costs reflects a broader trend of economic optimism, though vigilance remains necessary to sustain these gains. As Labor Day approaches on September 1, 2025, thousands of Americans, organized by far-left NGOs, are preparing to protest across the nation, rallying against what they have been told by organizers is a billionaire takeover under the Trump administration. Organized by groups like May Day Strong and supported by the AFL-CIO, these dark money-financed workers over billionaires demonstrations aim to feign concern for workers' rights, while attacking policies they insist favor corporate interests. Critics argue these protests reflect growing frustration with executive actions, while the administration defends its reforms as necessary to streamline government. The protests, part of a far-left billionaire-financed manufactured outrage, underscore a concerted effort by progressive Democrats to deepen divide over perceived economic shortcomings. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton faces a federal investigation for allegedly transmitting classified documents via a private email server, with some emails reportedly intercepted by a hostile nation's spy service, according to sources cited by the New York Times. The FBI raided Bolton's Maryland home and Washington, D.C. office on August 22, 2025, following information from CIA Director John Ratcliffe to FBI Director Kash Patel. The probe centers on potential Espionage Act violations, with claims that Bolton sent sensitive materials to family members. This development raises serious concerns about national security and the handling of classified information by high-ranking officials. Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pulte, a Trump appointee, has issued a second criminal referral to the Justice Department against Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, alleging she misrepresented a Cambridge, Massachusetts property as a second home instead of an investment property to secure favorable mortgage terms. This follows an earlier referral accusing Cook of falsely claiming primary residence status for properties in Michigan and Georgia. Cook has denied the allegations and filed a lawsuit to block President Trump's attempt to remove her, arguing the accusations lack legal merit and threaten the Fed's independence. Critics, including Cook's attorney, call the referrals a politically motivated smear campaign, while the Trump administration maintains they undermine public confidence in her integrity as a financial regulator. President Trump has revoked the Secret Service protection for former Vice President Kamala Harris effective September 1, 2025, just weeks before her 15-city book tour promoting her memoir, 107 Days, which details her unsuccessful 2024 presidential campaign. The decision, confirmed by a senior White House official, rescinds an executive memorandum signed by former President Joe Biden that extended Harris's protection beyond the standard 6-month period for former vice presidents. Critics, including Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, have labeled the move as political retaliation, arguing it endangers Harris, who faced heightened threats as the first female and first person of color vice president. While federal law ensures lifetime protection for former presidents, vice presidents typically receive only 6 months, making Biden's extension unusual and Trump's revocation a return to standard protocol. California officials, including Governor Gavin Newsom, are exploring alternative security measures for Harris's safety during her public appearances. The White House has named Jim O'Neill, a deputy to Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as the acting director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, following the abrupt dismissal of Susan Monterez, who clashed with Kennedy over vaccine policy. O'Neill, a former biotech investor with prior HHS experience, steps into a role rocked by resignations from senior CDC officials protesting Kennedy's influence and perceived undermining of vaccine science. The appointment signals a shift toward Kennedy's vision for reshaping federal health policy, raising concerns among some public health experts about the agency's direction, while others see it as a move to align the CDC with the administration's goals. President Trump has floated the idea of holding a Republican National Convention before the 2026 midterm elections to energize the GOP base and showcase party talent, a strategic move aimed at maintaining razor-thin Republican majorities in Congress. With historical trends favoring losses for the president's party in midterms, Trump's proposal seeks to leverage his influence and fundraising prowess, evidenced by a record-breaking $600 million war chest, to rally support for conservative candidates. The unconventional convention, also being considered by Democrats, could reshape the political landscape by highlighting GOP unity and policy goals, especially amidst ongoing redistricting battles in states like Texas. Critics argue this could deepen partisan divides, but supporters see it as a bold tactic to sustain the GOP's America First agenda. On August 29, 2025, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed a new congressional map into law, a move aimed at strengthening Republican representation by potentially flipping 5 U.S. House seats in the GOP's favor. The redistricting, dubbed the One Big Beautiful Map by Abbott, follows a contentious battle marked by Democrat lawmakers fleeing the state to block the vote, delaying the process until their return. Supporters argue the map reflects Texas' conservative voter base, with Abbott stating it ensures fairer representation in Congress, aligning with the state's 56% support for President Trump in 2024. Critics, including Democrats, claim the map is a partisan gerrymander with legal challenges already underway, potentially impacting the 2026 midterms. This redistricting effort, prompted by President Trump's push to secure GOP House seats, has sparked a national debate, with California Democrats planning a counter-redistricting effort. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has withdrawn an additional $175 million in federal funding from California's high-speed rail project, following the earlier termination of $4 billion in grants, citing the project's persistent delays, mismanagement, and ballooning costs, now estimated at $128 billion. The decision, announced on August 27, 2025, targets funds allocated for track extensions, grade separations, and a Madera station, with Duffy calling the project a boondoggle that has failed to lay a single high-speed track in nearly 2 decades. California officials, including Governor Gavin Newsom, have decried the move as politically motivated, filing a lawsuit to challenge the funding cuts, while the California High-Speed Rail Authority seeks alternative financing through state cap-and-trade revenue and public-private partnerships. Critics argue the project's inefficiencies justify redirecting taxpayer dollars to more viable infrastructure initiatives. Alaska Governor Mike Dunleavy is poised to announce a 2028 U.S. Senate run against incumbent Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski, a frequent critic of President Trump, signaling a high-stakes GOP primary battle in the last frontier. Sources close to Dunleavy emphasize his commitment to completing his gubernatorial term, learning from the cautionary tale of Sarah Palin's resignation, while highlighting his strong ties to Native communities and focus on energy development, rural education, and infrastructure. Murkowski, known for her independent streak and 2010 write-in victory, faces a unique challenge as Dunleavy's alliance with Trump and broad appeal could reshape the race, with native voters likely to play a pivotal role in this closely watched contest. On August 26, 2025, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed 3 bills: House Bill 128, Senate Bill 17, and Senate Bill 1349, aimed at protecting Texas from national security risks posed by foreign adversaries. These laws prohibit entities from countries like China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, as well as designated terrorist organizations, from acquiring land in Texas, restrict sister city agreements with hostile nations, and establish criminal penalties for transnational repression. Abbott emphasized that these measures ensure Texas remains secure by preventing foreign adversaries from accessing critical infrastructure or exploiting the state's borders, reinforcing the state's commitment to prioritizing the safety and sovereignty of its citizens. In a disturbing escalation of online radicalization, the rogue extremist group known as Purgatory, a nihilistic accelerationist faction linked to the broader violent network The Com, has brazenly claimed responsibility for a spate of hoax active shooter calls, commonly called swatting, that have terrorized over a dozen American universities since August 21, 2025, diverting precious law enforcement resources and sowing unnecessary panic amid an already fragile social fabric strained by progressive overreach and institutional decay. Self-proclaimed leader Gores, alongside accomplice Tor, allegedly live-streamed these malicious pranks, which prompted emergency responses at institutions like the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, Villanova University, Mercer University, the University of Wisconsin at Madison, the University of Utah, and the University of New Hampshire, while reportedly netting the group around $100,000 through extortion and related schemes, underscoring how such digital anarchy preys on vulnerabilities in our overburdened systems. This wave of attacks exemplifies the growing peril of nihilistic violent extremists who, unbound by traditional ideologies, seek to accelerate the collapse of Western order not for reform, but for pure destruction, a trend that demands stronger defenses of law and order to protect innocent students and communities from these shadowy digital saboteurs. 2 years before the tragic August 27, 2025 shooting at Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis, where 2 children were killed and 17 injured, Minnesota Catholic school leaders urgently warned Governor Tim Walz of escalating threats to non-public schools. In an April 2023 letter, the Minnesota Catholic Conference and Mindependent requested inclusion in state security funding, citing the Nashville Covenant School shooting as a stark reminder of vulnerabilities. Despite a state budget surplus, Walz failed to act, leaving schools without requested resources, a decision now under scrutiny as the community mourns and questions why these pleas were ignored. The Trump administration has announced a decisive move to deny and revoke visas from members of the Palestinian Authority and Palestine Liberation Organization ahead of the United Nations General Assembly in September, citing their failure to fully reject terrorism and their pursuit of unilateral statehood recognition as undermining peace efforts. The U.S. State Department, led by Secretary Marco Rubio, emphasized that such actions align with U.S. law and national security interests, particularly as some allies plan to recognize a Palestinian state, while the Palestinian Authority's UN mission will receive waivers under the UN Headquarters Agreement. The restrictions may limit key figures, including PA President Mahmoud Abbas, from attending, potentially reducing Palestinian representation at the global summit. The decision has drawn praise from Israeli officials, with the Palestinian presidency urging a reversal, arguing it hampers diplomatic engagement. The Israeli Air Force conducted a targeted airstrike on August 28, 2025, outside Sana'a, Yemen, aiming to disrupt the Iran-backed Houthi leadership during a rare gathering of senior officials, including their defense minister and possibly chief of staff, Mohammed Abd al-Karim al-Gamari. The operation, which followed the interception of 2 Houthi drones targeting Israel, struck a meeting convened to hear a speech by Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi, who appeared unaware of the attack during his televised address. This marks Israel's second strike in Yemen this week, reflecting a broader strategy to counter the Houthis' ongoing missile and drone attacks, which have persisted since October 2023 in solidarity with Gaza, While the strike's full impact remains unclear, it underscores Israel's determination to neutralize threats from Iran's proxies, though Houthi officials denied targeting their leadership, claiming civilian sites were hit instead. Germany has firmly reiterated its support for Israel, rejecting calls from Western allies like France, the UK, and Canada to recognize a Palestinian state at the upcoming UN General Assembly, emphasizing that such recognition should only follow a negotiated two-state solution. Chancellor Friedrich Merz, speaking alongside Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, stressed that conditions for Palestinian statehood are not yet met, citing Israel's security needs and the necessity of direct negotiations, a stance echoed by Foreign Minister Johann Wadefall, who warned that premature recognition would undermine peace efforts. This position aligns with Germany's historical commitment to Israel's right to exist and defend itself against threats like Hamas, though public opinion in Germany shows growing support for Palestinian recognition, highlighting a divide between the government and its citizens. A heated debate in Mexico's Senate over alleged opposition calls for U.S. military intervention against drug cartels descended into physical violence on August 27, 2025, highlighting deep divisions over foreign influence in Mexico's ongoing battle with narco-terrorism. The altercation involved Senator Alejandro Moreno of the opposition PRI party, confronting Senate President Gerardo Fernandez Noroña of the ruling Morena party, with accusations of treason and cowardice flying amid physical shoves and slaps. The clash followed discussions sparked by President Trump's directive to target Latin American cartels as terrorist organizations, a move Mexico's government, led by President Claudia Sheinbaum, firmly rejects as an infringement on national sovereignty. This incident underscores the volatile intersection of domestic politics and international anti-cartel efforts, with tensions exacerbated by Mexico's internal cartel violence and U.S. military posturing in the Caribbean. France, Germany, and the United Kingdom have triggered a mechanism to reimpose UN sanctions on Iran due to its significant breaches of the 2015 nuclear deal, starting a 30-day countdown that could reinstate economic, banking, and arms restrictions. The move, prompted by Iran's increased uranium enrichment to near weapons-grade levels and its failure to cooperate fully with UN inspectors, aims to pressure Tehran into resuming negotiations with the incoming Trump administration. While the European nations emphasize their commitment to diplomacy, Iran has warned of retaliatory measures, including potential withdrawal from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, escalating tensions in an already volatile region. This decision reflects a firm stance against Iran's nuclear ambitions, though it risks further isolating Tehran and complicating future diplomatic efforts. Mitsubishi Corporation has scrapped 3 offshore wind projects in Japan's Chiba and Akita prefectures, citing skyrocketing costs and a drastically altered economic landscape since winning the bids in 2021. The decision, driven by inflation, a weakened yen, tight supply chains, and rising interest rates, deals a blow to Japan's ambitious goal of achieving 10 gigawatts of offshore wind capacity by 2030 and 45 gigawatts by 2040. The conglomerate recorded a 52.2 billion yen, $354 million impairment charge earlier this year, underscoring the financial strain it faces. Japan's government plans to re-auction the sites, but the move highlights the broader challenges facing the global renewable energy sector as economic realities clash with green ambitions.
You're listening to Underground USA News,